Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I'm a Western Practical Astrologer. All right, so today we are going to be talking about 2025 for all of you Leos out there. Yes, what can you expect from the year ahead? We're going to get into it. I hope you enjoy this information. I hope that you find it to be helpful. Please do make sure to give this video a like if that is the case. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my practical astrology products. Okay, so there's just one quick thing I want to mention here. If you have a Leo rising, this information presented today is going to really relate to you the most. But if even the sun is in Leo in your chart or the moon, you could very well resonate, especially if you've got sun in Leo and you've got a day chart, or if the moon is in Leo in your chart and then you've got a night chart. So make sure to look to your personal chart and do remember that when exploring the sun, we want to think about exploring it through a lens of our soul's purpose, our soul's mission. It's more of that conscious awareness. And then through the lens of the moon, this is more about our inner world, our emotions. The unconscious is strongly highlighted. But still, again, for you Leo risings, you're going to relate the most. Just remember that they all serve different purposes. Moving on. So I want to say Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. We're coming into 2025. It's certainly a transitional month. It's going to be quite big, I think, in many ways. But what I also want to mention about this is the astrological new year does not start until Aries season. And the thing about that is for you, Leos, this means that coming into the new year, with it being Capricorn season, it's work mode. It's very much about dedication to your services, what you're building there when it comes to your services and your work, and creating some structure, considering your performance with respect to your routines and your daily habits. But then when we do eventually get to the astrological new year, the ninth house is going to be activated for you. So that's where we really start to see fresh perspectives, new beginnings. Okay, we think about with the sun in the ninth in Aries, that will be more about how you take the lead when it comes to your higher education, when it comes to your beliefs and your worldviews. Another thing I want to say is the sun is your ruler, right? So Leo, you are ruled by the sun, and I've just really placed the sun in all of the signs around the wheel because you'll experience then different energies as the sun does move throughout the signs, right? And then this is basically looking toward the astrological season. So the sun in Capricorn means that it's Capricorn season. The sun in Aries means it's Aries season. And the sun is very much about our life force, our vitality, right? There's certainly an element of health when it comes to the sun. And of course, it also looks at how we shine and our confidence levels. So do remember to just look over the next year and think about where is the sun, right? And that will be season by season. Okay, with all of that explained, January. What does January offer you? Well, here we notice, Leo, that coming into 2025, Mars will be retrograde in your sign. The Mars retrograde will begin from the 6th of December. It will be in your sign until the 6th of January. So, right off the bat, we have you going over your goals, taking a closer look at your willpower, your drive, especially how these things are linked to your aims, your ambitions, your life direction. New beginnings could be upon the horizon for you in this way, especially new beginnings related to your energy levels or maybe stepping up to a new challenge. But of course, Leo, with Mars being retrograde, it's good to then reassess, okay, to revisit certain energetic shifts or to revisit your desires and what you want. Then, when we move into this part of Mars retrograde, so this will be from the 6th of January up until the 23rd of February. Well, Mars will be retrograde in Cancer in the 12th. So we go from this window from the 6th of December to the 6th of January, where it's more so about how you're presenting yourself to the world, right? It's this forward sort of projection. It's more about your identity. But then we come to this part of the retrograde from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February. And that will be your opportunity, Leo, to maybe really dig a little deeper, to maybe revisit certain spiritual practices, or hey, this could be more so about your emotional state, your emotional well-being, I think is going to be very much highlighted here. And could also be a case of letting go of certain attachments there. So attachments with relation to your emotions. So anything that you may find yourself being overly attached to, anything that may trip you up, right? We think about the 12th house through a lens of the self-undoing. So you can look to those things and maybe ask yourself, right? Like, why, why do I feel pulled to this? Why do I feel drawn to this situation? So it could be a really healing time for you energetically, Leo. The other thing then to mention is that the nodes are going to be changing. So the nodes have been in your ninth and third houses since July of 2023. So this has been quite eye-opening, I think. It has certainly been an eye-opening 18 months where, my word, you've really taken the lead when it comes to sharing your message, spreading your wider visions. This has been such a period of self discovery, self exploration, and asking those bigger questions, maybe those harder questions, those triggering questions that maybe not many people want to say, but here you are, Leo, and you're asking them. And I say triggering because Chiron, of course, is still hanging out in your ninth house. Indeed, we see here you being a bit of a trailblazer, all right, being a bit of a team leader when it comes to your message, your wider message. Perhaps this is even about hosting some kind of course or class, you being the leader of the pack, so to speak, and that stuff, the leading stuff showing up within this educational setting. But, with the South Node still in Libra, I do see this as you being quite cooperative, diplomatic, using your skills of diplomacy, your talents related to diplomacy as a way to maybe bring people together or as a way to educate yourself further. Being a great time for you to maybe clean up how you communicate, so to speak, in a way where people listen, they like you, they want to be around you, they want to spend time with you. And then we also see here that the notes will shift, right? So from the 11th of January, for the next 18 months from that point, the North Node will come into your 8th and the South Node will come into your 2nd. So we want to think perhaps about this through this perspective of life path, destiny with the North Node and the South Node. So we could see this as you following this life path of, okay, I am going to really start to integrate spiritual lessons. This is what I'm getting from this energy because Saturn and Neptune have been in your 8th house for quite a while. Saturn has been there for a much shorter period of time, of course, but I think that the North Node in Pisces is going to usher in this integration, this, okay, how does this feel within my body. Whenever I think about certain occult like practices or subjects, esoteric subjects, right? Things of that nature, you can then start to reflect upon how what you have learned from those subjects, how that information aligns with you spiritually, emotionally, just on a more deeper level. Plus, we could see this as you taking some time to explore any fears or phobias. This could be really quite a beneficial time period for you to explore your psyche, thinking about your psychology, your unconscious, considering that so many of our actions are done subconsciously. So, indeed, this could be a good way for you to just investigate that stuff. And maybe as well, even a part of this is related to how you dissolve your own ego. We could see some ego transformations. Maybe there are some things that you will be forced to give up, so to speak, forced to sacrifice or surrender to, if you will. And such things could even be perhaps related to shared resources, shared accounts. Other people's money could even be a part of this. And at the same time, with the South Node being in Virgo, I think this is going to indicate you being called to ease up on any frantic, perfectionistic tendencies, this worrisome, this worrywart influence when it comes to your spending habits, your earnings, and your resources. And hey, we could also look at this as you polishing things up, right? Wiping, what I'm getting from this is maybe wiping this slate clean a little bit, or just having this fresh perspective, or trying to come at things from a more organized and polished, refined, sophisticated way when it comes to the material world. But again, just remember that the spiritual world will also play a significant role when it comes to this next chapter. Moving on, I'm sure, by the way, I will talk more about the nodes and everything as we get into it. I just want to say this is not super detailed and thorough, but it's just a bit of a breakdown month by month. Okay, so moving on. Uranus retrograde happening from the 1st of September until the 30th of January. Well, on the 30th of January, Uranus will turn direct. So this will happen in your 10th house of status, career, accomplishments, achievements, your reputation. So with Uranus being retrograde throughout that time period, you've had this opportunity to maybe revisit certain innovative ideas, right? Fresh perspectives, exploring alternatives. Light bulb moments have perhaps been happening for you, these aha moments, these breakthroughs. But when Uranus does eventually turn direct by the end of January, hopefully you can move forward with greater insight, greater awareness. Maybe even think about this through a lens of your intuition, right? What has your intuition really been trying to tell you about success and status, and especially how such matters are related to your own stability and security, Leo? Okay, so now we come into February. February, what does February have in store? Well, we also have another planet turning direct, and that planet is Jupiter. So, with Jupiter retrograde, that will have been from the 9th of October until the 4th of February. So, Jupiter retrograde in your 11th house, this has been a time period then for you to reassess, to reevaluate those group dynamics, group participations, thinking more so about wider networks and how you contribute in a communicative way, in an educational way to the group. I think, with Gemini here in the 11th Leo, you tend to be quite witty within social situations. When it comes to group involvements, clubs, for example, that you join, I think that there is great curiosity on your part and you're willing to learn from other people's perspectives. I think you can be quite open minded. So, with Jupiter being retrograde, This has been your opportunity to maybe look within yourself and to really ask yourself the bigger questions, the meanings of things, and to maybe consider your own personal growth here within these areas. Then, with Jupiter turning direct, from the 4th of February, well, hopefully then you can move forward slightly with a greater sense of, okay, well, this is what applies to me. This is what makes sense to me. Whenever I think about certain discussions and conversations I've had with certain group members, well, this is the information that aligns with me the most, or this is the data, this is the research that I've been taking a closer look at. And so I can move forward with a greater awareness surrounding my own intelligence, really, right? To say, yep, I've gathered that information, I know what I'm doing, and I also know how to present it further from that point onwards, basically. So Mars as well. Mars will turn direct in your 12th house on the 23rd of February. Still, Mars will be in the 12th. So the thing about Mars in the 12th is that it can indicate that Mars isn't really being expressed to its fullest uh, fullest ability. It's not really coming it's not really being presented in this outward way, or where you're maybe taking advantage of certain experiences, or where you're pushing forward. There's more of a holding back influence here, or even just being able to relax, being able to slow down. Naturally, with Mars being retrograde there, such matters are more, I would say, a bit stronger and a bit more significant. But with Mars turning direct, maybe you can still get a feel for, okay, well, after this period of introspection and contemplation, I can recognize what feels good to me and what feels like it's aligned with my path and my direction. And then, well, with Mars coming in, even into your first house again after a period of time, right? So that will happen a couple of weeks, a few weeks later. Well, that could be a good time period for you to really get the ball rolling there. Just take that time to explore your imagination, to think about visions and fantasies, and maybe even consider your sleeping habits, your sleeping patterns. Are you getting enough sleep? It could also be a good way for you to think about, okay, well, which family related fears or emotional related fears have I looked at over this past while? And what have they really taught me about my own energy levels and about my strength and my willpower? With Mars, this is where we're seeing some kind of challenge. So March, let's get into March now. There's quite a bit happening in March. It would be a very, in my view, a very significant month. So, for instance, we've got the Venus and Mercury retrogrades, and we also have Neptune entering Aries after being in Pisces for such a long time. Naturally, yes, Neptune will go back into Pisces, and by 2026, Neptune will begin its full transit. But we're going to get a flavor of what to expect. So, let's break this down. I just wanted to show you a quick overview there, but let's explore the Venus retrograde to begin with. So, this will begin from the 1st of March until the 12th of April. Keep in mind that Venus is very much about attraction, beauty, unity, socializing, creativity. So, with Venus coming into Aries and stationing to turn retrograde in your ninth house, Leo, well, this I think is a good opportunity for you to see, okay, how do I present information to the world, right? Thinking about broadcasting, publishing, media, certain blogs, certain sites. Especially, we could look at this through a lens of social media, even your website. So it could be a good opportunity for you to just rebeautify things, revamp things, to even consider what you really want there, right? What do you think would be best. You could also perhaps explore old creative ways of broadcasting or publishing. But, we could also look at this as you re-evaluating something to do with higher education. So if it is, for instance, that in order to maybe work up to a particular position, to secure a particular position, if it is that in order to do that, you need to have some kind of qualification, you need to have this higher educational uh, information to support you, well, then this could be your opportunity to go over some action plan. Think about how Taurus rules your 10th. So Venus is the ruler of your 10th. Therefore, this could be about training or education so that you can support yourself career-wise, professionally speaking. Even think about it as you being an entrepreneur or having your own business. So yes, the Venus retrograde in Aries could be your opportunity to just go over, okay, well, what else can I learn here? How can I even broaden my own understanding? Maybe there's something quite adventurous about this, or it's even about travel, right? So you could travel for work reasons, for work purposes, or it's about revisiting a previous destination that you've been to, and it just is that place that it's very significant to you, maybe because of past experiences that you've already had there. Furthermore, with Mercury, well, actually, I want to firstly explore Venus before we move on to Mercury. So I'll go over some dates for you here. The Venus retrograde is going to be from the 1st of March until the 12th of April. And the Aries section of it will be from the 1st of March until the 27th of March. Then from the 27th of March until the 12th of April, Venus will be in Pisces. So this part of it, right? So we come more toward the end of March, coming into April, Venus comes into the 8th house for you. Well, this will be your opportunity to perhaps think more so about intimacy, trust, commitment, how you might even merge on an intimate level with others. This could really be a very unifying period for you, or it could be more so about the esoteric, occult-like subjects that I was speaking of earlier, especially whenever we do add Mercury into the mix, right? So even Mercury does rule your 11th, it rules your 2nd house. So yes, with Mercury also playing a role, Mercury will look to things like education, for instance. So we'll get more onto Mercury in a moment, but even with Venus, again, hey, this could even be about film or art or fantasy. You can maybe re-evaluate the fantasy world, so to speak, and how even those how the fantasy world can be manifested in such a way where it gets people looking within themselves, right? It gets them exploring their unconscious deeply. We even see this slightly through this lens of being of service to others, right? Really wanting to help people with Venus coming into the 8th. But with Venus being retrograde, indeed, good time to take it a step back, to take a closer look. And then with Mercury, right? So as I was saying a moment ago, Mercury here can indicate more of this learning desire. So let's break this one down. The Mercury retrograde will be from the 15th of March until the 7th of April. It will be in Aries, so in your 9th house, Leo, from the 15th of March until the 29th of March. Until the 29th. And then from the 29th of March until the 7th of April, it will come into the 8th. So with this first section, with Aries being activated, this is your opportunity then, Leo, to go over old information, data, research, could be older projects that you've explored in the past that you take a closer look at, or it could be even some kind of delays when it comes to communication or education, travel. There could be some kind of travel delays there with the retrograde happening. But hey, we could also still look at this as you being quite inspired and excited and adventurous. Hey, it is your opportunity to also revisit how you communicate within the group, or how communication is somehow tied in with how you earn money. But with it being in Aries, this is about taking the lead and being somewhat of an initiator and a trailblazer. Then we come to Mercury retrograde entering your 8th house. Just as a reminder, this will be from the 29th of March until the 7th of April. So with this part of it, it's certainly going to be a bit trickier. We could see this as you just needing some space, needing some time in solitude, needing time alone. I actually think that with especially Mars being in your 12th, spending some time in your 12th coming into 2025, with Jupiter will also be moving into your 12th, which we will get to. So with a part of Mercury retrograde in your 8th, and then even with Saturn and Neptune and the North Node in your 8th, these things are all adding up to, I think, introspection, some time to yourself to maybe really reflect upon, right? What is it that I need? What is it that is going to serve me on a soul level? What feels aligned with me? This could even be your opportunity, Leo, to think about and consider your heart's desires, right? And I even just think of this through a lens of, it's you, Leo, you rule the heart. And I feel like you need to do something that lights you up. And if you don't, then you can become very sad very quickly. So maybe even a part of the Mercury retrograde could point toward any of those feelings, even possibly looking at repressed feelings, unresolved feelings, or unresolved traumas could come up. Yeah, it could be a very emotional and spiritual time for you, Leo. But, I'm also going to say this, it's still that you can learn a lot from these experiences by looking within. Let's now think about eclipses. So we have the lunar eclipse happening in your 2nd house on the 14th of March. Well, we're going to see here notable changes, notable releases, and things perhaps even coming to a close when it comes to the ways in which you earn money, spend money, thinking about even how money is a part of your daily routine, the daily habits that you set. Could be a good way for you to maybe let go of a certain habit that doesn't align with you anymore, for instance. And then we have the solar eclipse happening on the 29th of March in Aries. And keep in mind that this solar eclipse is going to be involved with all the other stuff going on with Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Neptune on the move as well, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But that solar eclipse could indicate some fresh insights, fresh perspectives, new beginnings, new chapters with relation to things like higher education, further advanced training as well, thinking even about legal matters with the 9th house being activated. So there could even be a new process that begins when it comes to a legal situation or a travel situation. But I do want you to remember that eclipses have been happening already in the 9th and 3rd houses for you over the past 18 months, well, a couple of years or so, Leo. So this is just another part of it, I think. This could be another chapter, another beginning. Significant shifts when it comes to eclipses. They will have their own videos closer to the time, of course. But here we have Neptune. Neptune is on the move. Neptune is going to enter your ninth house on the 30th of March. So, what I want you to remember when it comes to this planet is that it is quite the dissolving planet, very merging. So, what could this suggest about you? Well, there could be some kind of belief system that dissolves, or it could be that you merge with a particular belief system. So, we would maybe want to think about this as, hey, a religious belief system. This could be more about your philosophical views, or this could be about the way you see the bigger picture. So, maybe you sacrifice a part of yourself, a part of your own identity, if you will, in order to identify more so with the bigger picture, or it's that you look at things from this perspective of consciousness, this conscious awareness, being able to see things more so from a spiritual level. And with that, perhaps parts of your identity will dissolve, so to speak, or you will give up a part of yourself, so to speak. But we could also possibly see this as you possessing many dreams, a lot of wonder to do with travel. So, the kinds of places you want to travel to, maybe there's some form of imagination, this blissfulness, this desire, this deep desire to go to certain places, or we could see you going on certain retreats. We could see this as you maybe even spending some more time alone as you do travel. Maybe you'll choose to travel alone. Or we could even see this as you identifying with particular subjects, courses, right? So these subjects and courses that, hey, they could be more about art and creativity, mystery, inspiration. This is quite a dreamy energy happening when it comes to your higher education. Could also be you showcasing a lot of compassion to others, right? Maybe it's that your beliefs will really take on this compassionate, forgiving feel to them. Okay, so we also want to move this forward and we want to think about April. So, what will April have in store? And we're going to touch on Saturn joining up with Neptune in just a moment because Saturn's not long behind. So, basically, on the 7th of April, Mercury will turn direct in your 8th house. And so, yes, this could be where perhaps there is some greater sense of, okay, well, I'm clear on this. I believe in this. It aligns with me on a more spiritual level. Let me now mull things over and then really start to think about how I can communicate these messages with others. So after that period of introspection, or that period of really diving into your psyche, your unconscious, or addressing, any repressed feelings or even fears, these things like this, you can hopefully take those experiences and keep in mind that you'll perhaps be able to communicate from that place moving forward, especially when we think about how Mercury will re-enter Aries eventually. And the post shadow period of Mercury is from the 7th of April until the 26th of April. Yes, take that time to mull things over. There could be some other things that come up. You could tie up a few loose ends basically there, Leo. And then with Venus, so the Venus post shadow period will be from the 12th of April until the 16th of May. So, similar kind of thing, mull things over. But of course, in the case of Venus, which, yes, Venus will turn direct on the 12th of April, but from the perspective of Venus, it's more about, okay, well, what kinds of relationship matters, creativity matters did I revisit, reevaluate, and how those things show up more when we think about investigation, research, and when we bring it back to those occult, esoteric those subjects, those areas, maybe greater intimacy was revisited, trust, commitment was revisited. But again, take that time then from the 12th of April to the 16th of May to mull things over. My goodness, it could be uh, quite big for you when it comes to spiritual insights, Leo, next year. Okay, so trying to move on to the next slide here. Yeah. Okay, May. So we're coming into May time. And what we have happening in May is Pluto retrograde begins in your 7th house. Right. The way I want to go about this is Pluto will enter your 7th from the 19th of November. So from the 19th of November up until the 4th of May, there's more of this forward motion when it comes to how you step into your personal power within relationships and partnerships. We could see some particular one-to-one relationships falling apart, if you will. There's collapses, there is the quote unquote death when it comes to Pluto. There can be destruction as well, things being eliminated there. But we also want to think about this as perhaps such relationships coming to a close can actually be good for you, right? And again, with this, it's not just about romantic relationships or even long-term committed relationships. This could also be about business, right? Business partnerships, even certain clients and customers that maybe you don't quite align with anymore. So yeah, you can take this as an opportunity to think about how you relate within those relationships, how you feel the sense of mutual respect or reciprocity. But you see, with Pluto then turning retrograde from the 4th of May until the 13th of October, well, this is where we think about, okay, time to retrace my steps, or time to maybe take a closer look at that business agreement, that business contract, or it's about really drawing from your shadow, your unconscious, right? Your own sort of unconscious drives and motivations, what runs the show, right? What pushes you to, in a way, do certain things, behave in certain ways within your relationships. Maybe a part of this is even about embracing the part of you that can be quite eccentric, or the part of you that isn't afraid to march to the beat of your own drum. Okay, there is that differentness with Aquarius. So, indeed, I think that there's an evolutionary process happening, so to speak, when it comes to you tapping into these parts of yourself and integrating them, maybe. Integrating them into your own conscious awareness. But indeed, with Pluto being retrograde during that time period, it's best to just take that time and make it a useful time by going within to see what may come up for you. All right, so Saturn. What is happening with Saturn? Saturn is going to be on the move as well. Saturn will enter your 9th house and join up with Neptune, and this will happen from the 24th of May. So keep in mind that Saturn is about structure, confinement. It's more dense in comparison to Neptune. Neptune is more of a dissolver. So whilst there is this perhaps dissolving quality to do with your beliefs, or to do with your higher education, or even to do with how you share and deliver your wider messages with the world, well, Saturn comes along and says, be responsible, be dedicated, be disciplined. Saturn also brings some healthy form of reality, realism, and can also point toward structure. So maybe there is something that you can build for the long haul, or you can maybe explore the foundation to see how things are steady and secure. And yes, Neptune could indicate that there will be some things that will fall away, so to speak, or will dissolve, is perhaps the better way to put it. But Saturn can come along and then go, right, okay, well, that's dissolved. I'm gonna start to build from here then. And at the same time, we could also see this as you bringing form to your imagination, bringing form to your creativity. So when we think about inspiration and this visualization stuff, the spiritual stuff, the idealistic stuff to do with Neptune, well, Saturn can come along and bring form to that and make things actually a reality. Now, before we move on, there's something I would like to mention, and that is that there will be the Saturn Neptune conjunction, which will happen in 2026. So it's going to be February 2026, and that conjunction will essentially usher in a new 35-year cycle within your ninth house. So we're going to see, and this is why I put the title, but we are going to see you really stepping into your power when it comes to leadership wisdom. Yes, it's going to be a big transitional year when it comes to leadership wisdom. And, really what I mean by this is you leading the way when it comes to the things that you want to share and deliver with the world. You leading the way when it comes to your beliefs. And again, we could see this as legal stuff, legal matters being addressed in quite a direct yet compassionate way, with Neptune also involved. But with Saturn involved, it's still about I'm not gonna mess around here either. I'm not gonna be disrespected by others. Maybe we could even see you enter into some significant higher educational programs. We think about even things related to sports, engineering, enterprise, just you being very active. And we could also look at this as freedom, standing up for freedom, standing up for what you believe to be right, morally right. Right, even the ninth house is our code of ethics, our morals. So indeed, we could see you just driving things forward there, Leo, and coming at things from this very passionate, willful, adventurous place. Moving on to June, and I am going to try and speed this up a little bit. So June, what's happening in June 2025 for you, Leo? Well, we have Jupiter entering your 12th house, and Jupiter will enter Cancer in your 12th on the 9th of June. So this transit will last for the year. So it'll be about a year or so in your 12th. And the thing to keep in mind about Jupiter is Jupiter really looks at things like, we think back to our moral compass, our code of ethics. It's about wisdom, knowledge, and inspiration. So Jupiter in the 12th can indicate that these things are really going to be located from within. And this could also be you being quite generous, giving, caring, and supportive toward those in need, toward those who maybe feel helpless, hopeless. They need some kind of support and to feel nurtured. This could be even you spending some time behind the scenes as a way to feel more so into, okay, what is it that I believe in? What do I really believe in when I'm able to separate myself away from other people? What is it that my inner world is saying to me? This could be a good time period for solitude, but it's more about solitude in terms of knowledge. So to be able to gain knowledge behind the scenes in solitude. Or again, this could be about drawing from your inner world, right? So exploring your moral compass, for instance. And with Jupiter in Cancer, these things are more so going to be about support, being a caregiver. This could be a very healing, therapeutic time, or even this stuff could involve your free time, what you do for fun in some way, shape, or form, because hey, Sagittarius does rule your fifth. Or it could also be a time of really diving into those esoteric occult practices of yours, with the eighth house being ruled by Pisces. Still, Jupiter in the 12th, it's really a good opportunity for you to tap into inspiration and inner wisdom, inner guidance. All right, so we come into July, and from the 4th of July until the 10th of December, Neptune will be retrograde, and there will be this period of the Neptune retrograde in your ninth house. So basically, with the Neptune retrograde, it's just really a period to go within, to more so think about introspection and spiritual insights, and consider those things to do with the leadership stuff, the pioneering stuff that we talked about, and how those qualities, how those attributes show up within your teachings or when it comes to your wider message. It's just a good time for you to do some healthy self-reflection. Could even be about, okay, do I actually believe in this? Is this something that I really believe in? Do I feel aligned with this? Good opportunity to even reassess your boundaries, especially with Neptune. Neptune tends to not really have boundaries, but then again, we could also look at this as with Saturn being involved, there could be some healthy boundaries present, but Neptune still wants you to take a look, to see where you may be overextending or where you may be sacrificing perhaps to a fault, Leo. Healthy introspection, right? And then we have Uranus. Uranus is going to be on the move as well. Uranus is coming into the 11th and, the 11th house. So this is going to happen on the 7th of July. On the 7th of July, Uranus comes into your 11th house and says, it's time to innovate. It's time to shake things up when it comes to my group participations, when it comes to the clubs and groups I'm a part of. Hey, this could be related to work, right? Work matters. This could be corporations or institutions you're a part of. We think about what those organizations with the 11th house, being a team player, right? Really the unexpected happening when it comes to being a team player. And we could see major breakthroughs happening, especially innovation and being quite inventive and experimental. And I think that a part of this is either you being able to break away, being able to separate from particular people that you don't agree with. So we think about challenging the status quo, perhaps, or this could be about you actually banding together with others, like-minded individuals and wanting to make a change, right? Wanting to make a change within society. So a lot of this is going to be through technology, right? This is about media, advertising, marketing, sharing, research, collecting data. Yeah, so these things could be quite exciting, exciting for you, Leo. We could see some exciting new ventures, new plans happening within the team. Yes, but do remember that Uranus is only in Gemini for a little bit, and then by 2026 will begin its full transit. So this will be your teaser of what's to come. Okay, moving on. Saturn will also turn retrograde in July. So whilst Neptune turns retrograde on the 4th of July, we've got Saturn turning retrograde on the 13th of July. So Saturn retrograde is basically, your way to reassess what you are building or what you have been building so far, and how you wish to learn from those things. What lessons have already came up for you by that point when it comes to, for instance, being a leader? I think for you, Leo, a big part of Saturn here says, what does it mean to be a leader, right? What does it mean to inspire others with your teachings? What does it mean to really show up as a teacher, as a mentor, as a coach, as a guide? So this is your opportunity to reevaluate that process and to even look at things through a more professional, mature, responsible lens, but drawing from within. So the Saturn retrograde will be from the 13th of July until the 27th of November. So let's also think about another retrograde. Retrograde season is very much in full swing by that point, but we have Mercury retrograde actually happening in your sign, Leo. So keep in mind that at the beginning of the year, Mars was retrograde in your sign. So that was your opportunity to maybe re-explore, right? How aligned am I with my next steps? Thinking about your life path, your direction, your aims, and your goals. And thinking about that energetically on a physical level, But Mercury, so the Mercury retrograde will be from the 18th of July until the 11th of August. This will be more about your mentality. So how you align with your goals and your aims on a mental level. Good opportunity for you to draw from your creativity, to draw from enthusiasm. What is it that lights you up? What gets you going? Could also be a good way for you to maybe re-explore some play or fun or some form of enjoyment in some respects. Pleasure could be a part of this, but indeed, the Mercury retrograde in your first house could be a period of great introspection and reflection to do with your life path, your identity, and even, hey, your physical appearance, how you express yourself, how you project yourself to the world. Again, this is more mentally, but I think this is about how you communicate, right? Your voice. This is about how you deliver and present information. And maybe this is where some of that creative spark comes in. So, moving on to August, which we're not going to take long on this one because the real major thing I just want to mention about August is Mercury will turn direct. So, that will be on the 11th of August. So, with Mercury turning direct, hopefully then you can move forward with a greater understanding, a greater awareness about the next step, right? So, think about those things that I just previously mentioned. So, for instance, if it is that what you take a closer look at during the retrograde is your physical appearance, how you present yourself to the world, how you especially express yourself, communicate what you want to say there. Well, after that period of introspection, you can then hopefully move forward with this greater confidence, greater self assurance, just maybe bringing and carrying forward the lessons that came up. It's almost like you can hold your head high and be dignified. Moving on then to September. What about September? Well, we have Saturn retrograde then entering Pisces. So then this will be from the 1st of September up until the 27th of November. So this window of Saturn retrograde in your 8th is just another opportunity for you to go back in, right? To go back into the underworld, so to speak, to see maybe if there's anything else that you missed, that you overlooked, that you left behind. And what I'm further getting at here is going into the shadows, okay? Thinking about your unconscious, even thinking about more of those spiritual esoteric themes that I've been talking about throughout this video. So the Saturn retrograde could be your opportunity to look at how you've grown so far, which kinds of life lessons have you learned, what have you been building, how have you been maturing, what about emotional maturity, for instance, there, how have you even brought form to certain visions, for instance, or bringing form to your imagination. What have you brought to life through your actions, through your hard work and your dedication, Leo? Then we also have Uranus turning retrograde on the 1st of September. So that retrograde, from the 6th, my apologies, from the 6th of September, Uranus turns retrograde. So this retrograde will be up until 2026. there will be this window of Uranus in your 11th house. So, especially in September, Uranus retrograde in the 11th will invite, okay, well, which unexpected shakeups and breakthroughs have happened here within my relationships, within my communities and my networks and my teams, and how can I maybe learn from those, right? There could be greater insights, intuition, and curiosity on your behalf. A lot of learning. My goodness, a lot of learning. Moving on then to, we've got these eclipses. Basically, there will be the lunar eclipse in Pisces, so in your 8th house on the 7th of September. And then there will be the solar eclipse in your 2nd house in Virgo on the 21st of September. So this particular eclipse season will be very much about your resources, your finances, with especially the solar eclipse in Virgo versus other people's, or how you share. There's maybe even an opportunity for you to pay off a good bit of debt, or for you to clear even something quite karmic there. So with the lunar eclipse in Pisces, this could be a notable change, a notable shift within you, some kind of release to do with a spiritual matter or an emotional matter there. And then with the solar eclipse in Virgo, well, that will be your opportunity to enter a new significant chapter, to see things with fresh eyes when it comes to your self-worth and your self-esteem there. More videos will come about the eclipses where we will go into more detail naturally. But let's think about October, okay? What will October have in store? Well, we've got Pluto turning direct. And Pluto will turn direct from the 13th of October in your 7th. So indeed, that will be your opportunity to, all right, think more so about what has came up for me. And when it comes to re-examining, revisiting my shadows, thinking more so about your unconscious naturally, and how that plays a role within your relationships. And so, yes, you can perhaps move forward with greater clarity, greater depth and insight. Then Neptune retrograde will enter Pisces. So this will be from the 22nd of October until the 10th of December. So again, with Neptune retrogrades, it's very much about that contemplation, introspection, facing any illusions there, reconsidering your beliefs, having to maybe look at the reality of a situation to address particular illusions there. And hey, we could also look at this as you re-exploring your intuition, especially in Pisces. But think about this stuff and how it shows up within intimate relationships. We go back to trust, honesty. We think about vulnerability. Hey, vulnerability when it comes to the 8th house. Moving on to November. So what does November have in store for you, Leo, of 2025? Again, just a reminder, this is an overview, and as we go through each season, we will look more at the astrology. But basically, Uranus retrograde enters into the 10th, and this will be from the 7th of November until 2026. So that will be your opportunity to go back in to maybe think about, right, what did I miss? What did I maybe overlook? What did I not quite notice there when it comes to my career, success, status? There could be other unexpected shifts that occur within these areas for you. Think about that, especially on a material level with Taurus. Considering your stability, right? Then we have the final Mercury retrograde of 2025, and it will be from the 9th of November until the 29th of November. So it will begin in your 5th house in Sagittarius from the 9th of November until the 18th. So this part of the retrograde, well, it's your opportunity then, Leo, to revisit, to re-examine what you enjoy, fun, play, adventure. What is it that you're really interested in, right? What are you super curious about? And naturally, this stuff could be about higher education and knowledge and travel. And then we also have the Mercury retrograde entering Scorpio from the 18th of November up until the 29th of November. So, with this part of Mercury retrograde, this will be your opportunity to then go over certain family conversations, perhaps digging into the past, trying to make sense of greatly why you do the things you do. And maybe when you trace it back, it's somehow related to the family, it's related to your early upbringing and your childhood. So, with that exploration, there could be some transformation. Furthermore, we've got Jupiter turning retrograde in your 12th house, and that will be from the 11th of November coming into 2026. So interesting to think that I've talked about, with Jupiter in the 12th, with Mercury retrograde in your 8th. Uh, this is certainly a year where there is a lot of inner exploration happening, drawing from your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. And then we also mentioned with Mercury coming into the 4th, that could be your way of maybe looking to your roots, looking to your family, your past, memories, all those kinds of things could come up. There could even be some unresolved traumas that come up to the surface here, Leo. But then we have Jupiter turning retrograde from the 11th of November. And so this further adds to the story, right? Jupiter can then indicate this period of, okay, let me really reflect upon my beliefs. Let me reflect upon my code of ethics and my morals. And how is it that I am guided spiritually, emotionally? What is it that triggers me? You can maybe identify your triggers as an example. Then, as we come to the end of 2025, we have, for example, Saturn. Firstly, Saturn will be turning direct in the 8th house on the 27th of November. Do keep in mind the post shadow period through until the 2026. So you can just take some time to integrate the lessons that you learned while Saturn was retrograde. But indeed, Saturn will turn direct. And so hopefully you can just move forward maybe with a greater sense of integrity or self-respect or maturity. There's something quite responsible about that shift. And there could be even something quite rewarding, right? Recognizing, for instance, your self control, or recognizing the power of compassion, recognizing how perhaps with Saturn being in your 8th house all of this time that you have been, well, you've been facing a lot of your shadows, Leo. So, yes, recognition indeed. Saturn starts to turn direct there. And we then come to December, the final month of 2025. And here we have Neptune also turning direct. So this will be on the 10th of December in your 8th. Again, remember the post shadow come here. You're going to be hopefully move forward greater clarity, especially after that period of introspection there, that period of possibly solitude, retreating, and again exploring those maybe deeper, more challenging themes, right? When we think about the 8th house through a lens of unresolved traumas or repressed emotions, what's buried, so to speak. We could also see this as some kind of transformation after a period of confronting your illusions, right? So, yes, after that time of addressing the things that maybe you're fearful of or the things that are deceptive, because you face those things, you can hopefully move forward saying to yourself, do you know what? Those things don't make me afraid anymore, or I'm not as afraid of that as I used to be, or I can see that my mind has changed, right? The way that I act or behave has changed because I have reprogrammed my subconscious mind. All right, so this has been 2025 for you, Leos. Thank you so much for listening. Do keep in mind that we could make this more detailed and more thorough, but we'll get more into it, I'm sure, as the time goes on. But the thing about this too is you can book a reading with me, right? You can book a reading with me by going to my website, hannahselsewhere.com, and then we can certainly dive a bit deeper. And if you did enjoy this overview today of 2025 Leo, you can always buy me a coffee, but there's no pressure there, of course. Even if you like the video, that would be much appreciated. And that way it's to say that you find the video to be helpful. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.